Today I'm in the hot seat with the very hot FF Jensen, author of Bittersweet Symphony and also author of the upcoming bedroom short stories for discerning adults, which is due out later in 2015. Thank you for joining us, FF. Now, I love your sunnies and hat, and I would love to join you. I can do it with a hat, but I can't do it with the sunnies because I'll never be able to read my questions. So let's start. Why the sunnies and the hat?
Well, there are two main reasons, I would say. One of them probably has to do with, a bit of a sentimental streak. And there were two excellent writers in my country of origin. Mm-hmm. One of them used to wear a hat, or different kinds of hats, and the other one used to wear white sunnies.
Right.
So I'm kind of, channeling them, honoring their memory, and one of them also, whose name was Luisa Mercedes Levinson, was of Australian origin. Okay. So that's quite interesting. The other one's name was Victoria Ocampo, and she was highly instrumental in Argentinian literary circles. So I thought that they were really wonderful, magnificent in many different ways. Mm-hmm. Love them or hate them, but they did make history. So I want to honor them, but that, sort of links up with my branding. As a writer, I want to be recognizable somehow. Yeah. And this is my way of creating that sort of branding image. Mm-hmm. So that readers and non-readers, future readers, friends and whatevers can start recognizing me.
FF Jensen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why FF Jensen? Obviously, it's a pseudonym, but why FF Jensen?
Look, there's a long story that has to do with, looking for a pseudonym. Yeah. And Brett, my partner, is a member of an online forum where he's known as FF something. Mm-hmm. It's, in his case, it's the initials for Fence Furniture. So he's not quite FF something, but he is addressed as FF. So one of his friends suggested I should join the forum as Jensen FF. The car.
Ah, right.
And hey, Jensen FF, that's quite the Jensen Interceptor. That's quite a sleek car, fast and sexy. So I said, well, that's it, interesting. Mm-hmm. I didn't join that forum, not interested at all.
But you found your pseudonym.
But that did not happen overnight. Mm-hmm. I just woke up one day and I said, hey, Eureka. This is this has to be my pseudonym. Yeah. I had been playing around with different websites, trying to see if I could reach some kind of, in identification or connection with a pseudonym. Mm-hmm. And in this case, it was right after I woke up that the whole thing tapped on my shoulder. And I said to my partner, what do you think? He says, well, honey, it might just work. Yeah. So here's FF Jensen.
And here you are with your book. Now, the themes of Bittersweet Symphony, middle age, sex, love, relationships, bipolar disorder, friendships, domestic violence, there's everything in there. It's a very, very sexy book. How did you go about writing it? Was it again one of those subconscious things, you woke up and had the idea, or did you plot it out? Did you write it not knowing where it was going to go? How did you bring it all together?
It's very much as your last option. I started writing not knowing where it was going to go, and what happened in this case was that it all started out of displeasure. Yeah. Many things were going wrong, and so I said to myself, well, okay. In the past, I used to keep diaries and journals, so I decided to start writing something. Just for the sake of writing something. Yeah. And I was going to leave it at the length of a short story, but then I said to myself, there is something else here. There is a whole plot. Yeah. Of course, I mean that was way back in 2008, and I mean, yeah, it's good to say that sometimes for writers things do not really happen overnight. There are many people who still believe in the goddess inspiration, and hey, that goddess does not exist.
And she doesn't write the book for you either, does she?
No. So no, what happened was that, well, there were things that did not quite really lead me into writing, with a certain frequency, with a set pattern. And there was a whole year in my life in which things just went awry. And that's where I got this idea that in someone's life, a whole year may be such an immense, an incredible turning point that probably they don't think, or this person themselves do not or cannot think that could really happen. So it was after my year of living dangerously came to an end, my annus horribilis came to an end, that I said, well, I've got something here that I should start working on. In the year 2012, sometime in the year 2012, I decided to send an email to one of my favorite writers, DBC Pierre, who, as we all know, was the winner of the Man Booker Prize a few years ago. And he replied, much to my surprise, I got a reply from the man himself, from DBC Pierre. And he says to me something like, and I quote, because this is, of course, in the acknowledgements, I pass the power back to you for your novel. Eat it, live it, sleep it, and good luck.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
Yeah, that was a catalyst. That was an absolute catalyst. So let's say that in 2012 things started gathering momentum. And let's say I finished writing the, let's say what I call the alpha manuscript in let's say at the end of 2012, and 2013 I started refining it. I started turning into a beta manuscript and then a release manuscript. I love the IT terminology. It comes in so handy.
So how many times did you revise it, do you think? Was it sort of like one big revision and then little bits of spit and polish?
No. Look, I mean, the revision, there were at least 3 revisions. And when it came to the final revision, of course, there was feedback from the editor. I mean, the editor did all his work, editing and proofreading, and Brett, my partner, also added his bit as well. So that's the way it happened. And let's say everything, editing and proofreading, was finished late in summer 2014.
That's probably quite normal length of time, I would think.
Look, I wouldn't know, because I met very few writers in person. And I mean, they don't tell you certain things.
No.
They keep it to themselves.
They're very solitary, most writers. They're very insular.
Look, I can certainly relate to that.
Now, at your book launch, you read from the book, and you read a wonderful passage about being on the massage table and the masseuse, where Lena, how do you pronounce her name?
Lena Foch.
Lena Foch. And she's on the massage table, and she reaches under the towel of the masseuse. He's only wearing a towel, and the next thing, all sorts of wonderful things are happening. And that was great to hear it actually being read. I had read that passage when we were producing the book. But it was good to actually hear it read. How do you write something like that, knowing that your family members, children, brothers, sisters, how do you write something like that knowing that people that know you are going to read it?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just, your proverbial cheeky lady. My daughter was not impressed.
No.
Jose, who was there, as you know, at the launch, she wasn't impressed at all.
She hadn't read the book.
Look, I don't know if to this day. I mean, the launch was nearly 2 months ago, and to this day, I don't know if she has read the book.
Yeah.
But I mean, on the other hand, I am very respectful of those psychological spaces.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say that for some children, no matter how adult they are, it could be a little bit of a shock to find out that mum and dad do it.
Yeah. Or even think about it.
Or think about it, or even write about it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
that's right.
Look, I mean, I don't know. The rest of the family, I don't know how they would feel about it. And you know, tell you what, I think that the problem is that sometimes people tend to confuse, or readers tend to confuse writers with their characters. They tend to believe that I mean, the main character of a given novel is the actual writer.
Yeah.
And I am not Lena.
No.
There's, I mean, practically, I would say that, you know, there are some emotions that could be sort of shared with a character like Lena, but I am not her.
And that would have to be so that you can give that character authenticity, wouldn't it? Because if you can't understand those emotions, you couldn't instill them in the character.
That's right. Besides, I would have come up with something, such a cardboard character, that it would be off-putting completely. I mean, nobody would believe in such a cardboard character. No. So, I mean, I've got to tap into my own emotions in order to create a character.
But the emotions and actions can be two different things, and what have you.
Exactly. And this is where some people have some sort of blurry line in between the two of them. You know, they believe that somebody's emotions have to translate into actions and vice versa, when actually sometimes, I mean, we can really bottle up our emotions, or our actions may be cold and calculated. So rather than having to do with emotions, they've got to do with really very rational thinking.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting, because I did have another client who wrote a sex scene in her novel, and I mentioned it to her. I said, "Wow," I said, "that was pretty hot," and she said, "Yes." She said, "My partner was a bit furious because, you know, the thought was that everyone will think that that's what we do," and she said, "That's." You know, she said, "This was my imagination. This was, you know, something I created." So that's good. And I suppose too, if you want to write a book where you're the star, then are you writing a book for the right reason? Like if you were writing a book where the lead character was your alter ego, then that's probably not the right reason to write the book. It's not really creative writing, is it?
No, you know what I would do in that case? Yeah. Write my autobiography that would interest no one. Probably my mother, my brothers. I mean, let's say some members of the family would not really come out terribly photogenic in an autobiography, because if I have to be honest, I have to talk about what happened and how I experienced it. But I didn't want to write an autobiography. No. Now, coming back to the partner thing, Brett was happy about the sex scenes. He liked them.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm not going to say whether that's us or not.
No.
But he thought that they were really cool, and he's not in the least fazed by, you know, the possibility that someone may jump to conclusions and think that that's us.
Yeah. Well, there you go, ladies. Write a few sex scenes, give them to your partner. That could be, interesting way to spice things up. So when you write, do you use a laptop, a desktop? What programs do you use?
Okay, this is a great question, because I'm a bit of an IT boffin, and I worked in IT for a long time. So Bittersweet Symphony was born on a Macintosh computer using Microsoft Word. Yeah. But because Microsoft Word is such an unfriendly, such an unfriendly piece of software for me, what I did was, you know, and considering that I had to write on the go sometimes,
Yep.
which is something that people will not really admit to. They all go to this sort of ivory tower to write, but I used to write on the train.
Mm-hmm.
And in those days, I was using an iPad 1,
Wow.
and the let's say native Apple software for those is called Pages.
Yep.
So most of it was written on Pages. Most of my novel was written on Pages, and then of course it had to be exported. The file had to be exported as a Microsoft Word file because editors use Word files.
Yeah. And then after that, you put it into InDesign and laid it out in InDesign.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Look, I mean, it was like the whole thing, the whole creative, let's say, thing, and producing the novel as such, and getting the finished artwork out of the door.
Yeah.
Was something I did, and I enjoyed.
You did the cover.
Yes, I
You
designed the
designed it?
cover as well.
Yeah.
But I had my friends' help.
Right.
They gave me so much feedback.
Oh, that's good.
Oh yeah, look, I mean, I have to say, and I have to mention them: Jeannie, Miriam, Robin Nolan,
Yeah.
Brett himself, Terry Nolan. They were all very important voices at the time of let's say, telling me what they thought about it. And there were other people as well, but I'm talking about them because basically they really poured their thoughts so honestly, and well, you know, I really appreciated that.
And that's something a self-publisher needs, isn't it? So they need that surrounding of honest but supportive friends who will be able to say, yes, do this, no, leave that alone, don't they?
Exactly. I mean, let's say that any writer, self-published or not, has to have friends who support what they are doing. I mean, you may get comments such as, oh, you know, I don't understand this, or I can't relate to this, but that in itself is good because what it's bringing in a chunk, a thinking chunk that could be out there in the general public, those readers that are going to buy your book.
That's right. If 99% of the readers get to this paragraph and think, that doesn't make sense, then you need to know before it goes out there, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can fix that. So with the editing process, that's a question. I mean, I'm an editor, so I edit other people's work. I would love to write, but my writing style is it's pretty dull and boring. I'm not able to free up to write the way you do. Maybe one day. So, but I do enjoy editing.
Well, don't put yourself down.
Oh no, man's got to know his limitations. But as an editor, sometimes, you know, we have to be brief. We have to say, oh, can't see, don't understand this. You know, you haven't got time to write a whole nice paragraph about why something doesn't make sense because you're trying to get through a whole manuscript. And of course, if the author is paying you to make these comments, they don't want to pay you to couch it. So how confronting is it when you get a manuscript back and the editor's gone, doesn't make sense or something like that?
Well, I didn't get too much of that, actually. I think maybe there were a couple of comments along those lines.
Yep.
But it was probably a friend of mine who did read the novel to the very last page.
Yeah.
But she said that she could not understand the circumstance, that she could not understand what was really going on with the character. And what happens, I suppose, is that there are circumstances that we can relate to, and there are other circumstances that we cannot relate to, or that we find it hard to relate to, or that we don't want to relate to.
I suppose so, yeah. Or that we've not had experience of, so yeah.
Yes, look, I mean, I think that's where she was coming from, and but when the editor says, "Well, I don't understand this," I probably try to go over it, read it myself. If I still find, or if I can't still get to what the editor meant, I may just pick up the phone and call him.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul is fantastic. He's been so helpful, and I mean, we've done work for each other, and we do have a great level of communication. So, you know, it just took, in some cases, even a 2-minute conversation to get to the bottom
That
of
solved it.
yes, and that solved it. So he didn't really need to write the the New
whole
Testament in full. You know?
No. So you didn't find it too confronting, like you didn't, because you can't afford to be precious when you're being edited. Like if you're precious about your work, you can't afford to get upset, can you?
No,
Because they're trying to help you make the best product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
An editor is an ally. I wrote a blog post on that, and I suppose that that's where many self-published authors end up not making it, because they either don't get themselves edited, or they don't see the need. They believe that an editor is going to stifle their creativity.
Yeah.
And that's not true. And hey, we've got to learn to kill our darlings.
Exactly.
I mean, being precious is not going to lead us anywhere.
No, you're right. Now, one of the themes, one of the things that crops up in Bittersweet Symphony is the sport of, I suppose you call it sport, martial art, aikido.
Yes.
Is that how you pronounce it? Aikido?
Aikido, yes.
Aikido. Why aikido? Why not judo or taekwondo, or why aikido, and what is it?
Right.
And do you do it?
No, thanks for the question. Yes, I'm an Aikido first Dan.
First Dan?
Yes.
So that's like a black belt sort of thing?
A first level of black belt.
Okay.
Yes.
So I shouldn't cross you?
No. That's okay. No. Look, I mean, it's got nothing to do with punching people and, injuring anybody. Aikido is something I started when I was a lot younger than I am now. But I had been going through a really tough, stressful time, and that was my way of reconnecting with my own body. Aikido means the ideogram I means harmony, ki means the energy of the universe, and do means the pathway. Okay. So it's the pathway for harmonizing universal energy within yourself.
Okay.
And what I found with Aikido that also drew me to it is that it's non-competitive. So here, I mean, when I sent Lena Foch to an Aikido dojo, what I wanted to give her was a different way of feeling secure within herself. Wow. And besides, I've done Aikido, and I can write about Aikido.
And that comes back to that old adage of write about what you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, there are many things you can do research on, such as, for example, bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody's never experienced domestic violence, they can also do research on that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to something like Aikido, I mean, I could not possibly be an armchair Aikidoist.
Right.
I mean, I in that case, I found that my experience doing Aikido did help.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, here there's a little bit of me, because I used to love Emma Peel and all these really Wonder Woman, you know, and all these really
kick-ass women.
Kick-ass women, yeah. Exactly. What I call the third wave feminists.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought that writing or taking Lena to Aikido would make her feel a lot better, more powerful and safer within herself. Yeah. And well, certainly I felt happy to write about something I know, because that's really first-hand experience.
So when you go to Aikido, do you have a bout? What do they call it? I mean, obviously you don't just do it. It's not like Tai Chi where you do it by yourself. You have an opponent, or you have somebody that you play with, or
exactly. There's a relationship between what's called the uke. Uke in Japanese literally means the one that falls.
Okay. Yeah.
And nage, which is a word that has a number of meanings, and I don't speak Japanese, so I shouldn't go into that too much. But nage is the person who actually has to defend themselves,
right.
Performing an Aikido technique. Aikido is based not on attack techniques, but on defense, on self-defense. And let's say that there is the one-on-one Aikido training, and then within the same class you may get different other forms of training. There's one-on-one. There can be groups of probably 2 people against one. I mean, I don't like using the expression against.
But, yeah.
And there are techniques that are appropriate also for dealing with 2 opponents that actually get to grab you.
Right.
And then there is, let's say, one against the world.
Right.
Or let's say the person that gets several attackers at the same time. That's called jiuwaza. And it's a technique that helps, let's say, all of the Aikidoists find their own center.
Yeah. Because you would have to stay calm. You'd have to get that inner peace to be able to see the situation, handle it. And
that's right.
yeah.
That's right. One thing about Aikido is that most of my really good friends, both in Argentina and here in Australia, come from Aikido groups.
Really?
And yes, I'm talking about here in Australia, my early friends.
Yeah.
And we are still friends after so many years. And in Argentina, well, yeah, I mean, let's say that I was happy with that Aikido group. So happy that I ended up marrying within the Aikido community.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not that marriage exists anymore, but on the other hand, the experience itself was really invaluable.
Yeah. Now, Bittersweet Symphony's out. You're working on bedroom short stories for discerning adults, and you're also working on a novel. And that's due out later next year, maybe early 2016. What's the next novel about? Is it a continuation of Lena's story, or is it a different?
Look, I mean, Lena, I think I got a bit fed up with her.
Killed
as
her
you
off?
do. Yeah, no, but it's not that I'm going to abandon Lena completely. The thing is that Bittersweet Symphony was like, investing all this energy in something that, probably became a little bit too intense at some point.
Yeah.
But this is going to be the story of a younger woman, a much younger woman, someone that could actually be Lena's daughter, but it's not.
Just that age bracket.
That age bracket, and it's going to involve, let's say, of course, the subject of relationships, and how she cannot really manage them very well because she happens to be, mainly not the sort of person that finds herself at ease when she's too close to somebody. Well, I think that's a bit vague. That's vague enough.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm not saying that much about that novel. But there will be hackers and there will be people who will spy on others using computers.
Okay, so a bit of 21st century geek themes running through it?
Yes, that's
Good.
right.
Good. So a little bit of cross and a bit more erotica?
Yes, of course, this is going to be erotica 100% because her kind of thing is, let's say, bedroom activity. And I'll say no more.
Okay. Oh, well, we'll look forward to that. Well, FF Jensen, thank you for joining me in the hot seat today.
Thank you for having me
That's
in
all
the
right.
hot seat. I'm burning now.
Me too. Look out for Bittersweet Symphony on Amazon. It's available in print and for Kindle and at your favourite ebook retailer for your iPad and Android tablets. Thank you, FF. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.